Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Sam and I'm bringing them back. I haven't done a wrap-up video in probably 2 years, like not since the beginning of my channel. I kind of stopped doing them. For a long while now, have been consistently vlogging every book that I've read. So I had weekly vlogs, themed vlogs, so on and so forth. So I was constantly just talking about the books, and it didn't feel important to rehash all of those thoughts and feelings in a wrap-up. But now, after being after getting sick for like 2 weeks, after, just getting recovered from being sick for a while, I fell super behind on talking and vlogging about books because I wasn't vlogging while I was sick, and then I was catching up on other content that I was interested in making, and so I wasn't vlogging still. And now it's almost the end of June. I haven't talked about any of the books that I've been reading lately. So half of May I never talked about, all of June I haven't talked about. So here we are, we're back with the wrap-ups. I hope you guys enjoy these videos. Let me know if you enjoy wrap-ups. I have been very back and forth about them. I don't necessarily love watching them because I would rather see the emotions and feelings of reading a book as somebody is going. That's my personal favorite thing. I love reading vlogs. I love watching reading vlogs. So there's very few creators that I watch their monthly wrap-ups, and so I was like, I can't make this interesting. I've got nothing special to offer. Like, what am I doing? But we're just gonna bite the bullet. We're gonna just talk about the books that I've read, share some stats for the month, and if you guys have ways to make this more creative, let me know. If you don't mind me just talking at you about books for this long, let me know that as well. I'm willing to make this wrap-up format however it needs to work. It's just one of those things that, like, I try my best to not just sit and hammer. I'm scared. The thing is, I think this might be a really long video, and I don't want it to be a really long video. I read whole 39 books in the month of May. Why? Mostly because of Escape the Readathon hosted by Books with Lexi. I went a little crazy. My team came in second. It was a bit of a letdown. I was so hyped and proud and excited for Team Film Crew to have that, like, second win. Didn't happen, but that's okay. It's all in good fun. I had a blast. I really enjoyed the books that I read. I really enjoyed being in a competitive, fun, spirited readathon again. Escape last year was a lot of fun. Now we've got the amazing readathon happening this month. So I'm feeling a little bit of that, like, burnout, but we're still pushing through. So I read 39 books in the month of May, which is insane. I haven't read that many books this year alone. And the last time I read 39 books in a month was last August for Aurelium. So, it was a lot, but now we can talk a couple of the stats. So in total, I read 4,352 pages, which is kind of my highest month. I don't read physically a whole lot, and when I do, it's often with an audiobook because I like the mixed media aspect, the tandem reading experience, because dyslexic, slow reader, you get it. The happiness that I feel when I could say I read over 4,000 pages in a month is, like, really cool to me. I know some people read that many in a week. So this is just like my little PSA. Like, your accomplishments are going to be personal to you, and you should be excited about that and pleased with yourself and trying to constantly just better yourself, beat yourself. Don't worry about everybody else. They're just noise, So that's kind of where I'm at. I'm really proud of that number. It's really cool to see, like, oh my god, she's picking up physical books more. But in contrast, I listened to 122 hours of audiobooks, and let's keep in mind, I have worked my way up to comfortably 2.75 speed, depending on the narrator. I'll sometimes go to 2.5 or even 3. So 122 hours spent listening to audiobooks. I'm gonna do math. How long? 122 hours is roughly 5 days. I listened to 5 days worth of audiobooks. That's crazy. Cool for me. Continuing on, I participated in a few different readathons in the month. Escape being, like, the biggest one, but I also participated in The Vampire Diaries, hosted by Reading with Chloe, I believe, and I think I came in 3rd place, so cool for me. Crazy that there are people out there reading just as much, and potentially not even content creators, just people reading so much. It's so cool. But I also participated in Horror-a-thon, I participated in Bookemon, Asian Readathon was happening, I did some more fantasy, 12 friends recommend 12 books, like there was a lot going on. As for book clubs, I participated in the Lights Out, the Reaper, Literally Dead, and the 4Bs. So, having fun with all of this, having fun with all of those, I can't talk anymore. I'm having fun with the community. Woo! In May, I read 18 standalones and 21 books that were in series, which I feel like I've started a lot of series this year, but I've also had the desire to continue series, which I think is a really good sign for me. We'll see how that continues. But coming down to the genres, my most read genres currently for the month of May were fantasy, horror, and contemporary, because I started reading more manga. I'll say it. I got into manga. I'm pretty excited. They're cat themed. It's great. My like subgenres have been primarily romance, thriller, and horror. So I'm sticking with my goals. Obviously, I love fantasy and I love horror. If I could just mesh those two all together all the time with everything I read, I'll be a happy being. So feel pretty good about that. Most of my books I've been reading from Libby and Hoopla. I've actually started utilizing Kindle Unlimited more. Wow, get your money's worth, I will say to myself. And then I've been reading also books on my physical shelves, which is even more exciting for me because I don't typically do that. And then this month, because of Asian Readathon, I was really trying to prioritize Asian authors, especially Asian authors that have been on my TBR for quite some time. So in total, I've read 9 translated books, which I think is the most this year, let alone probably close to last year. I, for whatever reason, fell off the bandwagon with translated again. I don't know why that happened. But I read 2 works translated from Korea, 6 from Japanese, and 1 from Russia, which is really cool. As for the formatting of books, I read 5 manga. There's your number. I also read 5 novellas, 1 anthology, and then the rest were all novels, which was 28. My average book length for the month was between 350 and 400. That's kind of my sweet spot for reading. I think 350 is like a good average length. Anything longer than that, I'm going to start getting bored or questioning my sanity. My average audiobook length is also between 3 to 5 hours, so cool. My average rating this year is 3.5. At like current filming, not just for this month, in general, 3.5, and it's barely moving. I want it to go up so bad, but that's okay. I gave out 4 5-stars in the month of May, which is pretty nice. I am not fully out of my 5-star drop, but they're definitely coming in more frequently, and I'm ramping up to like a good month of maybe all 5 stars. I know that won't happen, but I will dream. And then going back to the POC author count for the month, so almost 54% were POC authors, and almost all of them were Asian or Pacific Islander. I had 1 Arab author, which technically is also in Asia, so I did that. And then as for queer authors, I read 2 that I know of from simple Google searches. So that's something. As for the queer rep in the books that I picked up, I'm about 44% yes, which is still pretty good. I know that in June I've been working closer towards getting my queer books up. By the end of the year, my goal is to be at least 50-50 when it comes to queer representation in my books and POC authors. That's the goal. We'll see how that goes. I just want to keep increasing that and making that more normalized and centralized in my reading days. So that's fun. I've read 25 new to me authors, 14 repeating authors, and then I've also read 13 debuts in May alone, which is great. My most read authors were Lori M. Lee and Wataru Nadatani, I believe is how you pronounce that. I'm sorry if it's butchered. And then I want to share this fun little thing, my little map. This is the map of where I've been reading, and I'm tracking it for the whole year. It's really helpful with like the reading around the world challenge, but in here you can see I read 2 Australian authors, 6 Japanese, 1 from China, a Pakistani author, Ukrainian, Scotland, obviously Canada, America. I'll give you like a small little glimpse into my year. I have read a very small amount, a little less than half, American authors, just in general, and I'm like baffled with myself with that fact that I haven't just been reading so American-centric authors this year, and it's not even necessarily intended, it's just kind of been happening, and I'm like, oh, that's so cool. I love seeing different places in the world that I'm like reading from. I don't know, it's cool. So yeah, this is the little map that I have. Over here you can see my little stats for all of the countries and everything, and where I keep track of all of that really fun stuff. But yes, that's all that I wanted to show you. I just think it's so fun and so cool. So with that said, now we can get into the books, which I'm gonna try and be really fast about these. I'm thinking like we attempt the like 1 minute per book type challenge, because I don't want to talk about these for too terribly long, you know? So the first book that I read in the month of May was for Escape the Readathon. My host, Kelsey, had been recommending the Bunnicula series just as a whole. This is by Deborah and James Howie. And so a bunch of people on Team Film Crew were reading it, and I decided to pick it up because it was pretty short and easy. This is a middle grade series narrated by a dog who lives with their cat. It's like Chester, I don't remember the dog's name, and they find this bunny on the side of the road, like by a movie theater or something, and the dog is convinced this bunny is a vampire. And it was just very cute, very sweet. It's not something that I feel like rating, but I definitely can see why like young audience can have fun with this. It's not something that I knew of growing up, so overall I thought it was cute. And I like the narration. The audiobook was really good. Next that I read was People Like Us by Dana Mel? I don't fucking know how to pronounce the last name. Melly? And this is like a dark academia thriller mystery. It's set... Hey, I just shut that. As I was saying, before being so kindly interrupted, it's set in a boarding school, and basically one of the students ends up dying, as per all dark academia plots. And Kay Donovan, no relation, has to kind of solve the mystery. There's kind of like blackmail breadcrumbs left, and this computer hacker kind of has to help her find the puzzle pieces to solve whatever's going on. I thought it was entertaining enough. It's not something that I was like super invested in, but I thought that it was entertaining enough that it kept my engagement. I gave it about 3.5 stars. After that, I read Lock Every Door by Riley Sager. I'm slowly making it through the backlist. This is the one, so there's 3 that when I think of Riley Sager, I'm like, these are his big 3. These are his special ones. It's always Home Before Dark, Lock Every Door, and Last Time I Lied. And I have not read Last Time I Lied just yet, but I loved Home Before Dark, and then I read Lock Every Door. I was so disappointed. I don't know why. It wasn't what I thought it was going to be, but I didn't really have true expectations going into it. I didn't know what it was going to be about, period. In this, we were following a girl who is down on her luck, life's kind of meh, not so great, and she gets an opportunity to basically house sit an apartment for an absolutely insane price, and just gets the opportunity to stay at this place, don't have contact to the outside world, don't really leave, just live here, don't bother the tenants that have been here for a long time, and just like hush up and do your thing. But then things start getting a little weird, a little spooky, a little ooky, and she makes friends with another tenant in the apartment that's like house sitting, and decides like, oh yeah, no, actually this is a little suspicious, I guess I'll look into it. Even though I was totally fine with it 3 seconds ago when I decided to get the job. It was just a little strange. I didn't love the character. I did enjoy how, like, you knew... Maybe I didn't enjoy it, to be honest. You knew where the book was going to end at the start, in a way. And so you see kind of like a dual timeline type of situation, but it's not super intense. And I did like it because it was like, ooh, where are we? How are we going to get there? Like, what's going on? So I did like it, but I didn't love it. I really didn't like the characters, but the twist did get me. And once I was like seeing the direction, I was like, oh, okay, I guess we're doing this. So it was just like a very mid 3-star book. I don't really have a lot to say on it. I just really was like, about it the whole time. I was like, whatever happens, happens. The next book I read though was The Har by David Sodergren. And this is a horror novella, and I loved it. It stars Muriel Margaret Macaulay, and I adore her as a character. This is set in like a small Scotland fishing village where Miriam is grieving her dead husband. Her family, like kids, have like moved away. She's pretty isolated, and the town is slowly selling their property to this American billionaire who is trying to build just a nice golf course, okay? He just wants the nice land, wants to make it cute and touristy for the rich. And Margaret is refusing to budge, along with a couple other residents of this town. But Margaret is the one that is standing strong and not taking shit. And oh, she meets this little creature from the Har, which is a real word and not the actual monster itself. That was news to me. I've learned so much from this book. She befriends this like little monster pal, and you know, it goes places. It really does. It definitely, check the trigger warnings if you're if you get queasy easy, if you don't like the thought of blood in your books, you might not like this. It does get a little bit gory. I didn't think it was too bad. I wouldn't say that it's like splatterpunk, too graphic, but I don't know. I could just be messed up. I don't know what the right scale I don't know where I'd put it on the scale, okay? But I really enjoyed this. I loved everything about it. I almost cried at the end. It got me. It was emotional. It was beautiful. It was 5 stars. It was so fun. The next book that I read was just Sunburger by Hannah Canner. This is the sequel to God Killer, so I won't talk a whole lot about this, but it was 4 stars. I really enjoy this world that Hannah Canner has created. I really enjoy the characters. This is multi-POV. You've got different types of gods, and I love, scream it from the rooftops. I love gods interfering with the day-to-day, gods having physical impacts on society around them, being invested in certain people and like their destinies and so on and so forth. And I just really enjoy this. So in this we've got 4 main characters, one of them being a minor god themselves. It's so cool. And then we've got our 3 misfits that kind of come together. It's a little bit found family. There's a lot of drama. It picks up from the last book pretty immediate, and you're just like thrown into the plot, and I'm really excited to see where this goes by the 3rd book. I hope the 3rd one is the last, because I don't know how much more I'm gonna want to see these characters, just because it feels like I'm used to them now. Like, I don't know how much more character development can happen after the 3rd book, but it really just depends on where we go from there. But I really enjoy this. I really recommend the series. It's not going to be for everyone. It is a little bit on the dense side. It's definitely more like character and world building focus rather than like plot, but it's just really good. Okay, I recommend it. So this next one, Eliza Look Away, was Inkblood Sister Scribe by Emma Torres, and this is, it built up on so many things that I thought I was going to love. It's got sister relationships, it's got estranged sister relationships more specifically, it's got a magical library. It's got a really cool library system. It's something that I was really excited about, and then I read this and I was so bored. I did not like these characters. I did not care about anything that was happening. I didn't care about like the romances. I didn't care about the sisters. Their relationship was just like mad to me. There's so much mystery to this. There's the cool magic system and library that I really wish that I saw so much more of, which is like weird to say because you do see a good amount of it. The male POV I really didn't care for. I really didn't need him at all. It fell flat for me in a lot of ways, and I'm really disappointed about it, but that was Inkblood Sister Scribe. Ugh. The next book that I read was I Want to Die But I Want to Eat Tokaboki. I'm so sorry. I clearly have never been to Korea and don't know an ounce of Korean. But this was by Baek Sihi. I'm so sorry. I know I'm butchering this. But this is basically a transcript of multiple therapy sessions with our, I believe, author. I think these are her therapy sessions. And it's literally just transcribed word for word. I know that this really works for a lot of people and really resonates for a lot of people, but for me, it felt pretty analytical and like no feelings and emotions, just very like, this is how it is. And I really didn't end up getting much out of it. I was kind of bored and not super interested in it. I think there's some interesting discussions and topics brought up that our narrator struggles with, and I thought that was cool, but it just wasn't something that I was able to connect to at all. It was just I said this and then the therapist said this, and it just didn't work for me. But I do recommend it if it's something that sounds interesting to you. Again, like, it could be one of those, like, right book, wrong time type of situations. Like, if I was in one of my depressive episodes, maybe it would have hit a bit different. I don't know. But the next book I read was Shoko Smile. This is by Choi Yoon-young, and I really like this. This is an anthology. There's a few stories in it. It really touches on a lot of different subjects. It talks about disability, politics, war, history, and it just, each little nugget of a story was just really well, like, I was good. They were good. I really, I'm losing words as this continues, and we have barely scratched the surface of the books that I've read. But Shoko Smile really worked for me. I really enjoyed the writing. I like the narrators for the audiobook. I was very interested in each story. I thought they were just really beautiful. I really liked them. That's all I'm going to say. Vita Nostra, let's talk about it. Again, I'm not going to grab the book because it's truly just sitting on a shelf with knickknacks, and it's a pain every time I have to grab it, and it's been multiple times now. But I've talked about it a lot on my channel recently, so this will be quick. But this is another dark academia focusing on the obsession of higher academia, of university of levels, like beyond your, I dropped out of college, can you tell? What is it? When you go to get your master's, PhD, that kind of stuff, like high education. And just like the absolute obsession and drive to be perfect, to be, like, have clear understandings of just, like, being in the work truly. And it's so weird. It's so weird. Talking about Vita Nostra is so funny because it's like, it's weird. I don't, it's like once you read it and you know what happens, then it makes sense. But before you read it, you're just like, yeah, it's about this girl and she goes to a specialty school and then, like, just to perform well and get good grades to, like, keep her spot, and bad things may or may not happen to her family. I don't know. It's weird. It's so good. It's definitely a 4.5. I think that if I reread it in the future, it'll probably get a 5 stars because now I have a better understanding of, like, what was happening in the book and where we were going, and now I can reread it again and be like, oh, picking up on things, getting things, you know? The next book that I read was All My Rage by Sabaa Tahir. This is a contemporary, loose kind of romance, if you want to say it. There is like a dash, a little hint of romance there. But this is really just following two best friends and their struggles and what's happening around them in life with their families. We have one narrator who is working at her uncle's liquor store and, like, the issues that she's having there and her dreams of higher education and getting out of this town and away from her uncle. And then we have on the other side her best friend who is dealing with the death of his mother and the issues between him and his dad being torn apart from one another because of the grief. And these two best friends have an issue with the unrequited love situation, and they have a bit of a falling out, and then they come back together, and you're just seeing kind of their journey and exploration of regret and forgiveness. And I overall really did enjoy it, but it's also like, I would recommend this to high schoolers. I would say that, like, this could be a book studied in school, where it's talked about and really, like, looked at, and it gives especially high schoolers, young adults, that empathy towards people, seeing the humanity in everybody type of thing. I think it just is well thought out and really well done. But I'm out of the age demographic, and, like, as much as I enjoyed it, I also was like, yeah, okay. It didn't, like, say anything new or profound to me that I was like, oh yeah, this is making me think of different things. It was just kind of like, yes, this is good. And I appreciate this being out in the world, but it's not necessarily for me. The next book was A Magic Steeped in Poison by Judy Judy Lin. And this was 2022 release, and I was really excited for this. I've seen so many reviews, so I should have known going into it that it might not be as good as I was hoping for. But now that I've read it a while after, I was a little disappointed by it. This is a kind of competition-y, not really, story where we've got this girl faking to being an apprentice in tea making and goes to the kingdom, the palace, to become, like, participant in this, like, games. And you have to be an apprentice to be in the trial / games of tea making, to be staff for the king, I believe, or queen. And the reason that our main character is doing this is because she wants to save her family. Her sister is like poisoned, I believe, and it was simply just fine. I will probably finish the duology, but I really didn't connect to the characters. It felt like a lot of the fantasies that I've read, nothing super stuck out, but I did really enjoy the tea magic element. I thought that was cool and well done. So, you know, it was a mid 3 stars. That's kind of been my reading a lot lately, is just mid 3 stars where I really don't have anything to say, which is so unfortunate. Next up, I read Vows and Ruin and Fate and Furies. And as you might have seen my journey, I've been eating up the Legend of Esmar series. I'm currently finishing up the 4th and final book. But when I read these for the first time, I thought that Fate and Furies was the last book. And oh boy, was I underwhelmed. By the end, I was like, what? This wasn't that, what? That doesn't make any sense. This was a dumb end. Like, it's not finished. It wasn't finished. So I've now have reread it. And I hit different and I gave it 5 stars. But the first read was 4 stars, but Vows and Ruin was 5. I really like Vows and Ruins. It's definitely more on the steamy side for the series. It's a lot more like hot and cold between Wilder and Thea, but I truly just love these two so much. I love all the side characters. I love the world building. I'm enjoying everything about this world so freaking much. It's so good. It's wonderful. I do recommend it if you are into fantasy romance. If you like it, start with Blood and Steel. I do recommend reading Slaying the Shadow Prince when, probably between like book 2 and 3, maybe after 3, depending. But yeah, I did really like them. I love them so much. Next, after that, I finished the Bridge Kingdom series with The Endless War. This is the 4th book, but technically it's the 2nd book because they're like the same world but different duologies, but like connected. It's very strange. I don't love that. But in this, we are following the brother of our main character from the Bridge Kingdom and Zara. I forgot his name entirely. It's Lara's brother and Zara. Those are the 2 main characters, and this is, ooh, I really like this one. I like this one a lot more than their first. Maybe it's just because I wasn't used to being with new characters that I didn't like the first book quite as much, The Inadequate Heir. But I really enjoyed the world building in The Endless War. I really liked the characters together. They definitely have a different romance and dynamic, but I really like them for that. Overall, yeah, it was fun. It was a good way to end it. I'm going to be interested to see if Danielle Jensen, if she's going to come back to this world with another set of duologies, or if this is going to be the end of it all. I'm interested to see what happens. But yes, that was The Endless War. Now, let's talk about it again. I mentioned this already in my mid-year freakout tag, but A Tempest of Tea by Hafsa Faisal. I have read this. I didn't like it. It's just 2 stars. This is a beautiful Fairy Loot edition, and I'm happy to have it, but this just didn't work for me. And I know I've talked about it a lot, so I won't talk about it too much, but in this we are following 3 different POVs, following 5 characters in total. This misfits, this heist coming together, this crew coming together to do a heist. And we've also got the backdrop of like vampires not being so cool in the world, but our main girl, I wish I could tell you, but there's no synopsis here. Our main girl, she has a tea house by day, and by night she has a vampire blood house. And I didn't get enough of that. I wish there was more in the setting and the world building. I think that the characters really fell flat, and this is very character driven. I didn't like the romances very much. It felt very forced. Yeah, everything felt very forced. And so I'm going to continue in this series, if it's a duology especially, even though I didn't love this because I could see potential for character growth, but we'll have to just wait and see. The next book was another 2-star disappointing book. Wow. I read The Center. This is by Aisha Manazir Sadiki. This was a big disappointment. This was a letdown. I was so excited for this. I know so many people who love this. I love the concept. Oh my god, if I could pay to go to a specialized school where I could learn any language in 7 days, fuck, I would be broke. I would be a polyglot in every language possible, and I would be so happy. But unfortunately, this book did not explore anything that I wish that it had explored. Somebody had a Goodreads review, and I'm not gonna like say things because it will spoil things, but their Goodreads review would have been a much better book. that's it. Like, this had the potential, and it fell super flat. It was superficial. It just, nothing was deep, nothing mattered, nothing was said. I was just bored. I hated any part of the romances. Everything about the characters was just, ugh. I didn't like it. I really did not like it, which was really disappointing because I really thought it was going to be 5 stars. I loved the concept, but it was so boring. Ah! Now, this next one's not a perfect book. I'll admit. I will say it's not perfect. It's definitely a debut. It definitely feels like it. It doesn't have, like, the world's best writing, but I freaking, oh my god. I ate this up. I adored this. This is The Last Blood Carver by Vanessa Lay. I enjoyed this thoroughly. So much. I love these characters. I'm so excited. Please, NetGalley, please, please let me have the arc for the sequel. Please. It's still pending. Please, I would love to read the sequel as soon as I can, because the way that this ends hurts, and I need to know what happens. I'm very gripped. I'm very intrigued to see where we go. This is a very fun and unique magic system where there are very few blood carvers left, and blood carvers are like magical doctors in a sense, where they can be in tune with your body and like see what is wrong and fix it and heal you, and often like they don't do it for charge because, you know, they're doing it for the greater good, but also colonization has kind of wiped them out and they're not so common. And our main character Nika ends up, wow, I just knew that. Our main character Nika ends up getting caught by these people called the Butcher, which is like the black market, and they're like, we know what you are, and we're gonna sell you the highest bidder of a wealthy family. And a family friend of theirs is in a coma, and they're like, please, you're our last hope. Figure out how to heal him, bring him back. We have questions we need answered, please. And I just really enjoyed all of the characters, the side characters. I really enjoyed Nika. I could really understand her motives and her thoughts. So even though there is a little bit of like an insta-love romance in this, I could understand why. And I understood like that connection and like the purpose for it being so quick. And you know, it also sets up for the end, so it works out very well. The way that this ends is absolutely explosive and hurts, and I'm excited to see where it goes from here. This is the beautiful Owl Crate edition. Oh my god. And I love it. But yeah, this I thought was just very, very nice. Okay, next, more things that I feel meh about. So, the next thing that I read was Someone You Can Build a Nest In by John Wiswell. This, I think, is a debut novel, and it's from a monster POV about a monster who's on the run. Think, like, Shrek in the beginning when, like, people come to his house with pitchforks. Our monster, constantly being hunted, and finds themselves in a little bit of a pickle on the brink of death, and this lady finds them and heals them back to health, and then they fall in love, and they're romantical, and that part was really fun, because you've got a monster falling in love with a human girl with no understanding and concept of like what human love is and means, but also wishes to impregnate this human with her nest that may or may not eat her from the inside out, like romance for a monster would be. I don't know. It's interesting. I did have fun with this. I did like it. It's like teetering with that fantastical horror gore type thing where it's like you're following a monster. Monsters are gonna eat people, you know, what do you expect? While still having like this nice, sweet, fluffy sapphic romance where you're like, ooh, this is so cute. They're so cute. So I'm definitely like torn on where I fell, but I enjoyed the beginning. I hated the middle. The ending was like, ugh. It wasn't for me. And so it definitely started falling flat as the story progressed, but overall, like, it was just like a fine time. I gave it 3 stars. I think this will really work for some people. But yeah, it was interesting and fun at the very least, and I will have fond memories of it, which is a plus. Which is a plus. The next thing that I read was a buddy read with my mom. So special. It was such a gift I've given to myself. I gave her A Good Girl's Guide to Murder by Holly Jackson for Christmas like 2 years ago, and with the rise of the show coming out, I was like, now's the time we read this, and so we did. We both read it, we finished it, we both really enjoyed it. I think I liked it a little bit more than she did, to be honest, but I think she still had a lot of fun with like the mixed media elements in the book, and just, you know, her first YA fucking mystery book, I don't know. But in this, we are following Pip, and Pip decides to do her senior project basically on a murder-suicide in her town, in her very small little town. And then she also happens to maybe, I don't know, fall in love with the murder-suicider's brother. I don't know. It's kind of a weird setup, but once you pass the setup, it's a typical like mystery thriller. It gets very thriller at the end. I think it hit all of the beats. You had a big enough cast of characters that like you're suspicious of people and red herrings really work out, but at the same time, not so many characters you're overwhelmed and you're like, who are these people? I don't remember anything. I think it was just like a very fine balance of like hitting everything. It's fucking pissed. Was that a spoiler? I feel like that's a spoiler, but also like people might want to know that. I don't know how to feel. Anyway. Moving on. I think A Good Girl's Guide to Murder was going to be like a 4-star, 3.5, 4-star. I definitely liked it. My friends definitely love it far more than I do, but I'm very excited to see where the show goes and how like the show handles everything. It was fine. It was good. It was good. It was good. The next thing that I read was The Monster of Eldon Haven. I can never say the town right. I never remember it right. It bothers me every time, but this is by Jennifer Geisbrich. I don't... Sorry. This was another like 2-star, 3-star. I have no opinions, emotions, feelings towards this in this another monster POV. But we've got gays this time. They're dudes. It's a small town. It's kind of like a coastal town. I truly don't have words to describe to you what this book was about. It in one ear out the other. Like it was so meh to me. I just didn't care about these characters. It definitely ends on an exciting note that I didn't see coming, and that's the nicest things that I can give you. So there you go. Next thing that I read was The Origins of an Academic Bully. This is the 0.5 novella in the Zodiac Academies. Was this the right place to start? I don't know, but in this we are following basically 2 of the guys. Landon? Oh fuck. Names. I haven't continued in the series, can you tell? But basically we're following 2 of the boys that are going to be prominent bullies in the series, which I'm already hesitant about, but we got their traumatic backstories and parental abuse, so now we can forgive them for being mean to these girls. I don't know if that was the point we're trying to get across, but I didn't like it. But besides those things that I know are to come, I actually rather enjoyed this. It's short novella, and I think that it really sets up the world and politics well. Like, it gives you a quick understanding of, like, what type of creatures are going to be in this magical world, what the politics system looks like with like the houses and everything and who's against who. I genuinely have like I have a good understanding of like how the world of Zodiac Academy is laid out, so that when I go into the series now and I get all this like high school drama and stuff, I'm gonna also have like the foresight of like, oh, I know what these things mean and who's and what happened to the sister. So it's kind of, I don't know. Was it the right place to start? Not sure. Was it interesting? Yes. Will I forgive these characters for their crimes in the future? No. Cool. Next thing that I read was Ling Hun by Jiang. I'm so sorry. Woofa. This was another novella, horror, pretty short, especially because when you have like the book, there's like 2 short stories at the back of it, which really enhanced me being like, oh my goodness, it's over, because it definitely dragged at some points because I was like, we're not saying anything new, but it also happened so fast, especially because I feel like the ending was a little bit more rushed than the beginning, and so the pacing was just like a bit off. But in this we are following Wen Qi, and Wen Qi lost her brother when he was 6 or something. She was like 4 maybe, and her parents moved to this town called Home. They buy this house. They're kind of like inherited this house, and in this house you can see ghosts, you can see dead people, and on the lawn in the town of Home is the loiterers who watch you and wait and hope and pray to bid on a house, to get a house so they can also see their loved ones. It's really dark and twisted and weird, but I really loved the writing and narration style. So in first person we have Wen Qi. In third person we have a loiterer, Liam, who becomes a pretty main character as well. And then in second person we have Miss, who really is like the book. And I really enjoyed her, seeing the progress in her chapters especially, and like the full circle of this book really, but just how well it all ties together. But at some points it was like kind of lacking and a little slow, but the writing was nice, and it was a weird mix of emotions that I had. But overall I think I really enjoyed this. I ended up reading this for the Reaper book club, and I'm happy that I did. So I think it's gonna land about 4 stars. Then I read the Shaman Born series. Let's Go by Lori M. Lee. This is Forest of Souls, Broken Web, and Calling of Light. It's a trilogy, and I decided to reread Forest of Souls before continuing just to make sure that I remembered everything. The forest is still dope. I still enjoy the imagery and the magic system, but this is definitely more character driven, and I didn't really connect to the characters, but I can appreciate that this is a fantasy without any romance in it. But also it's like everybody could kiss, like they're all good friends and any of them could kiss each other and I would be like so happy for them. So it's a weird, a little bit of a weird emotion, but overall I did really enjoy this. Forest of Souls is following two best friends. They're like training to be warriors, I think, or something, and a tragic event happens. We follow them on this quest, this journey, and we find out our main character is Shama Boren, has magic, which of course is outlawed. What fantasy book is it not? But overall I thought that it was very mid of a series. I liked some aspects, I didn't like others. I felt bored and like it was drawing out at times. So I don't really know how I feel about it in the end now that I finished the series. It's not really memorable, something I'm going to think back on a whole lot. I think the dynamic between the two best friends is the most intriguing part to me, but obviously like after the first book that kind of loses its spark. So I don't know. It's very mid. Very like okay. The next book that I read, look at me reading my book of the month, especially new releases. This is Dragon Fruit by, so sorry, I'm going to butcher this name, Makai Lucier, maybe? So this is Dragon Fruit. This is Pacific Islander inspired mythology inspired. It has a lot of things that I can appreciate and like recommend because of it. This is following our girl, Hana Lee, and she starts off the book with finding out like she's special because of these dragon fruit, sea dragon eggs, and finds her way back to, wow, describing this is way harder than I thought it was going to be. This was another 3-star, almost 2.5 mid book. The plot has really escaped me. I couldn't tell you really what this is about. We're following a girl and she is kind of like a pirate, but she like chases sea dragons. She has like a cool connection to them. There's like a friends to lovers romance. I can give you the tropes of this. There's an animal companion. There is a bit of like a piratey feel to it, which I did really enjoy, and the gore written in this I thought was also like phenomenal. I thought atmosphere setting wise this book is written beautifully, stunning. I absolutely enjoyed every ounce of this world and just like feeling like it was real in there. Loved it. The characters and the plot, didn't care. I read this for the Jay and Agaton Full Moon Book Club. This was the last like public live discussion, and it was very much just a book. I felt mad about it. I thought the romance was cute, but like I didn't care about them that much, and I didn't really need it for the book. Overall, like it was just flat. But the setting is phenomenal, and I definitely think that this fits for younger readers a little bit more rather than like the YA range is too big, but like more teens than young adults, you know? That's how I feel, okay? You already know how I feel about this, so we won't talk about it much, but you know this is the best book that I read so far this year. Definitely a new top favorite of all time. This is Kaikei. I freaking love and adore this book. We're following Kaikei in this. This is a Indian historical retelling of a queen who I guess was not so great. I'm not really sure like the full background of this story, but in this we're following Kaikei, who is just the best character. Her mom's exiled early on, and Kaikei ends up finding some magic in the library. So cool. And yeah, we just basically see her life. She gets married off, she has a family of her own, she's a third wife, and you get to really just see so much of her life. And just the way that I was gripped, the way that I was invested in Kaikei, she's like, I just wanted to know everything about her. I wanted to be in every scene. I really loved how happy and calm a lot of this felt. I loved seeing the family dynamics and just like how good things were, and that just like weird foreboding of like, oh no, it's kind of foreshadowed, but you're like, things are gonna go bad and wrong, and I'm not ready for it. I don't want it to happen. I don't want to see this any of these characters, I never want to see them sad. They should always be happy, living their best lives. And then I sobbed. As we've seen in my previous videos where I've talked about this, I fucking sobbed. I cried like a baby. It was so good. I love this book. Okay? Cool. Ugh. Okay. The next thing that I read was Home is Where the Bodies Are by Geneva Rose. This is kind of a domestic thriller, small cast. In this, we are following 3 siblings who come together after their mom passes away. Their father is estranged. They don't really have any relationship to him anymore. As they are going through the mom's stuff, they find a bunch of boxes with some like VHS videotapes that they decide to watch. And it's all like fun, happy family times and just seeing their lives. But one of the tapes is recording over an old tape set in 1999. And it's their father, like, got some blood on him. He's all dirty. He's like stressed out. He's like, we gotta hide this body. And the mom's like, I'm sorry, what? And basically it's following these 3 siblings as they're figuring out what the heck happened in the past and what happened to this girl from their town. And I thought that it was good and interesting. I did enjoy Beth most of all of the 3 siblings. I think that they were all interesting though in their own dynamics, but I also felt like they were pretty cookie cutter, like these are Beth's personality traits, these are whatever the sister's name's personality traits, and Michael or whatever his name was, these are his traits. And it was very like, these are who they are, they're in this box, which was meh. They weren't super quite dynamic, and because the cast was so small, you don't have a lot of like options to be like, oh, let me point the fingers to these people, because it's so small. I wanted like maybe 3 more characters added in so that I could just have a little bit more to like go off of and guess off. I will say that although I wanted more characters, I was also wrong. So take that how you will. I did not absolutely love and adore this. I think the writing was fine, but is not necessarily my type of thriller. But with that said, I read this for the Lights Out Book Club hosted by Sav, and she gave it 5 stars. So if you're interested in it, I do recommend checking it out and giving it a try. It's pretty short. It's not a very long book at all, and I think that it's well-paced. And so, yes, enjoy. The next thing that I read was Fury Born by Claire Legrand. This is fantasy. Oh boy, is this high epic fantasy. And it's young adult, which I would say now, with our new terminology coming out, maybe closer to new adult, just because there is some sex in it and it does talk about so much. But at the same time, like, yeah, young readers can still read it and it'll be fine. But it is like dense and it's long and it's so fucking long. In this, we have 2 POVs set a millennia away from each other. That's 1,000, right? 1,000 years apart from each other, and they have a weird connection that you find out pretty quickly on, but also not. So I won't say it for you now. But they have this connection. They're set 1,000 years apart, though. Yeah, we're just like seeing things happen. I really liked, what is it, Riel's POV, which is 1,000 years prior, because she's going through these trials to prove that like she is the queen and she has all these cool magical abilities. I loved her chapters far more. I loved the romance in hers, the characters in hers. Her POV was superior to me, which made the second POV 1,000 years later just really flat for me. I didn't care about those characters. The setting just didn't feel different enough. I was just like ready to move on to the next POV, which is always a risk. It really did feel like 2 books mushed into one. Like, it was so long and I was just ready for it to be over. But overall, it was fine. I think I will be continuing with the series. This is one of those books that like has absolutely mixed reviews. People love it or people hate it because of the bisexual rep, and I'm not going to really talk on that too much, but I didn't think it was that bad. But that's my own personal opinion, and everyone's going to feel different about how queerness is going to be portrayed in different books, and that's okay. But I did like it. It was dense. I really liked the latter half more than the first half. Yes, that was Fury Born. My next read was another fun little win. I think this is gonna be 4 stars, but Midnight Strikes by Zeba Shahbaz. I'm so sorry. I suck. I don't know what to tell you. I need pronunciation guides for literally everybody. This is Midnight Strikes. This is a fantasy Groundhog's Day set at a ball, and I really enjoyed this. Although it is Groundhog's Day and a little bit on the chunkier side, it didn't feel too long. It felt like it was well paced. We were skipping time when nothing was happening and it wasn't eventful. So you're really just seeing the best parts of so many days. But in this, we were following our main girl, Anais, and she goes to this ball at the kingdom, palace, castle? She goes to this ball at the castle. Her parents are like, you gotta go, or we're really trying to get you married. She comes from a more poor, humbled background where she just really enjoys being in the country and just doing her own thing and keeping the little magic in her family still alive. It's been dying out as generations go on, and so she's got a connection to it and she wants to keep it strong. But to please her parents, she keeps going to the ball, where she finds out very quickly that everything's doomed, everything's gonna blow up, everyone's gonna die, and she's going to relive the day over and over and over and over, and hopefully figure it out and save the day. I really enjoyed this. I really liked all of the characters in this. I really enjoyed the setting. I really enjoyed seeing her figure things out. The way that she grapples with everything going on. It's hard and it's not going to be easy all the time, and I just really enjoyed this. I had a lot of fun. I do really recommend this. It was good. I don't know what else to say. It's good. Okay, so the next book that I read was The Memory Police by Yoko Ogawa, maybe? This is another translated work, and it's like a dystopian science fiction contemporary following this small island that is kind of being experimented on. They're losing words. So they'll wake up and something does not exist anymore. Like tissues will no longer exist. They'll be completely scrubbed from the island. Nobody will have any of these items anymore, and they'll just kind of forget what they mean, have no connection to it anymore, and never see it again. It's a very it's a very interesting premise. In this, we're following basically just like three characters. Our main girl learns that her editor is one of the few people who remembers everything, and like the erasure does not work on him, so she hides him under her floorboards. And then the story progresses and continues and goes where I didn't think it was gonna go, and it really, it's really thought-provoking, kind of fucks you up, but like, is also a good experience, and I enjoyed the writing. I enjoyed seeing how the characters dealt with situations differently, and like, the meanings of words and all the fun stuff. I overall had a good time, but also was, numb by the end. Okay, next I'm going to talk about Cat and Gamer just as a whole. I read 2, 3, and 4 in the month of May. I think book 5 gets translated next month, which is really exciting. I love Cat and Gamer. It's so sweet. It's so cute. It is a gamer girl who ends up with a kitten because somebody finds this cat, brings it to the office, like, anyone want a cat? And Gamer Girl's like, I don't know what I'm doing, but sure. And it's just so sweet. It's so heartwarming. She is simply just learning how to take care of this cat, but also is like a super big gamer nerd and talks about how it correlates to gaming and everything about it, and it's good. The graphics are good. It is short and cute, and I really like it. Okay, that's it. And then I will quickly talk about Alice in Borderland. This is also another manga, but this one is horror. Books with Lexi absolutely loves this. It was recommended, or it was like used to create Escape the Readathon in some essence because of the games aspect. But in this, we're following Arisu, who kind of finds himself seeing this explosion. He's got a sad life, blah, 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 moving on. Finds himself teleporting, falling down a rabbit hole, if you will, into this very strange dystopian type world where, like, an abandoned Tokyo, but there's a bunch of people there, and you have to play games to survive. And I'm gonna just leave it at that. I finished the second volume. I'm enjoying them, but they're very, like, 3.5 stars for me. I haven't connected to the characters quite enough, but I think that it's interesting enough, and I like the game aspect. I did guess part of it, which I felt really smart about and really cool about. So, haha. But yeah, I really like the art of it, the art drawing style. But I haven't connected super to the characters a whole lot, but the second book has me a little bit more intrigued. So, we'll see how that goes. And then I have 2 more things to talk about. My last 5-star of May was the Jihad Air by Sarah Hashem. This is so good. So good. I can understand why it was in the Goodreads fantasy romance, even though it's not really romantasy. I understand why it was there to some way, mostly for the who did this to you and reluctant allies to lovers, but kind of, not really, but kind of. I really enjoyed this though. This is the Jasad Air. We are following Sylvia, who lives in this very small, happy little village, doing her day-to-day, just basically surviving. She's got 2 friends that are super dope, and I really enjoy them as characters. And she starts slipping up. She has one really bad day where she just makes mistake after mistake and gets the attention of the Nasadi, I think, and he's all Aaron, and he's like, you've got magic, that's suspicious, you shouldn't have that, that's kind of like outlawed, that like has a connection weirdly to the Jasad kingdom, which is no longer, so like you shouldn't have magic, this is weird. Are you a criminal? And basically was like, yeah, I'm gonna keep you. I'm gonna keep you. Aaron decides to take Sylvia on as his competitor for these trials that they do often between the like existing kingdoms, and you know, they practice fighting and getting a hold of her magic, and it's good. I really like this. I love them. I love all the side characters. I like the world building. I like everything about it. It's good, and I need the sequel. Sarah, I need the sequel. So upsetting. So yeah, that's wonderful. I highly recommend it, even though the sequel's not out. And finally, the last thing that I read was Diavola. Diavola? It's Italian, and I still don't remember it, and I took Italian. Diavola by Jennifer M. Thorne. Jennifer, good job. It's so funny, because when I was reading it, I was kind of bored and like so about it. But then after like talking about it at a live club discussion, and then just every time I have to talk about it and think about it and review it, I'm just more into it, and I just like it more and more, which is strange. So I think it's gonna be 4 stars. Earlier it was like 3.5. I had some issues with it. No, it's just like a good time. I really enjoyed it. It's set in Italy at this like little villa. She might be a little haunted, I don't know. You don't get all of the answers in this story. A lot of things are kind of left to be interpreted, which I really liked. We have, what's her name? I don't remember her name. We've got a main girl though, and she goes to her family reunion, family get together in Italy, and her family sucks. Just really sucks. She's a twin. She has an older sister who's very type A. Her parents are very like hands off, like, yeah, the siblings are gonna fight, but I don't care. And the type A sister has 2 daughters and a husband. And there's just like a lot of weird family fighting dynamics that just don't work, but are so freaking relatable. I've been able to relate to this story a weird amount because of like the family trips and just how people react with each other. I got it. I get it. I do. And you know, then some spooky things start to happen pretty early on. I think the imagery of the spooky stuff was really well done. I, again, could really connect to the characters. I just remember a lot of the visuals from this. I definitely see myself rereading this and probably purchasing it to reread it. I really like the narrator as well. Everything about it just was a win. I don't know what my problems were. I know I had them, but I don't remember them anymore, which means 4 stars. Cool. This was so long. This was so long of a video. Oh my god. I don't know how people do it. This is why I don't do wrap-ups. It's so long to talk about books. I'm so happy to talk about books, and like this is great, but like it's so long. I hope you made it to the end. If you did, leave me either an eagle emoji if that exists, a bowl, or a dragon. One of those 3. Whatever is available as an emoji, because I'm not sure. Leave them in the description. No, you can't do that. Leave them in the comments if you made it to the end of this video. Thank you so freaking much if you did, because holy cow, I can really talk. I'm a talker. What can I say? I need to go drink water because I'm a little parched. And thank you for watching. Oh my god. Welcome back to the wrap-ups. Let me know what formats you prefer, how you like them done, how you like things talked about, what's gonna work best. Let me know. Keep the stats, native the stats. Tell me what to do for wrap-ups, and I will listen to you full-heartedly because I need help. But I hope that you enjoyed this nonetheless. I hope that I'm entertaining enough as I talk through all these many books. You have a good time, and hopefully some of them you want to pick up. I also would love to know what you've been reading lately, because I never ending TBR that I always continuously add to. Anyway, I'm gonna go. Thank you guys so much for watching. Bye.